Good afternoon. I do hope everyone is doing well today. For this week's discussion on information literacy, we were to look through the Evan Shoemaker database and find primary source documents that can enhance a lesson for the first half of an American History Survey course. The topic that I chose is to look at the arguments made by the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists in regards to the ratification of the new Constitution. In my American History Survey course, I do have a unit dedicated to the creation and ratification to the Constitution. And in it, the students are required to read both Federalist and Anti-Federalist writings. For the Federalist, I generally have the students read through Federalist 10 or Federalist 51. And in the Evan Shoemaker database, I did find a very early printing of the Federalist Papers. However, I wasn't quite so fortunate in looking for anti-Federalist writings. Normally, I would have the students read something along the lines of the Federal Farmer or from Cato. But the only real primary source document I found in the database was a letter written in opposition to the Constitution, written under the name of Decius. But after reading through the letter, it was still a very viable primary source document that could be used for this particular unit. Within the unit, the students are required to write a comparative analysis papers over the readings that they did by the Federalist and Anti-Federalist to analyze both arguments, both sides of the arguments, to try to see, arguments from two different perspectives, and to be able to analyze those arguments to see who does make the better arguments. Part of their assignment is to discuss whether and just how effective the arguments were. Were one side more effective than the others? Which ones were more persuasive? And quite honestly, which one to them, if they were living at that time period, which arguments would have persuaded them the most? Would they eventually supported the new Constitution, or would they have been against it? Would they have been a Federalist or an Anti-Federalist? But as for also writing the analysis paper, there's also a discussion board component to it as well, where they will post their findings on what they had read and what they had learned. And this is done, of course, so other students can see what they were seeing in the document and what they were getting out of the document. And that way they can kind of compare notes with each other on what they had discovered. For my residential courses, there would be a fair amount of background because there would be a lecture dedicated to this. And of course, they would have an in-class discussion to help them better understand what it is that they were reading. But for my online courses, which is all this semester, as we've decided to shut down and just do online courses, most of the background that they will have to learn, it will come from little mini lecture that I put together, and of course from the textbooks reading and the PowerPoints that are posted on the online data on Blackboard. And they will, and of course, they will then write their paper and then post their discussion board on what they had found. Why this assignment seems to be very effective, because it does allow the students to always be able to look at two sides of an issue, to be able to do research, to understand, opposing viewpoints, and especially maybe viewpoints that would be in opposition to them. How this also fits for student learning outcomes is, one, it also teaches, critical thinking. And also for the SLOs, it gives the student help in written communication. It also reading comprehension falls into this. And even group work / teamwork is also one of our SLOs. So it fits within the core competency of the course and within the student learning outcomes that are expected for the students to be able to have by the time they finish the course. So that's why I believe this assignment is pretty effective. And through the Evans database, being able to find both writings from both the Federalist and the Anti-Federalist did help create, I think, a very solid assignment in fulfilling the core competency and the student learning outcomes. Anyway, I hope this was helpful, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Take care and goodbye.